Hey, this is Asta. Welcome back to my channel. We continue in this video with part 2 of the glory of Bharatvarsha. Let us see how trade and commerce contributed to ancient India's prosperity. Trading in India was done through both land and sea. We have already studied about Lothal, which was an important port in the Harappan civilization. If you recall, a large dockyard and warehouse have been found which shows that trade flourished through sea transport with other countries. Various kinds of jewelry have been found which has specially been made of beads which were from oysters and ivory. Besides trade of Indian spices and condiments and precious stones which were very popular at that time. Cotton, silk and spices were exported to Europe and Asia. International ports like Khambat and Bharuch in Gujarat, Sopara in Maharashtra and Tamralipti in the ancient city of Bengal have been found to be doing trading in cotton textiles, silk textiles, spices, cinnamon and timber. These were exported to the east and west part of the world, while gold and silver and other items were imported. Many people from China used to travel on foot or on horseback to trade in silk. The route that they used was known as the Silk Route, as you can see in the map. Along with this, the ports of South India were also known as centers for trading in spices. We know that a picture portrays the actual situation at that time in history. Hence, paintings are also one medium through which we come to know of India's prosperity. In India, the oldest paintings have been found of the Neolithic era at the Bhimbetka caves in Madhya Pradesh. These look lively even today. Other than this, Ajanta Ellora, Bagh caves, and Amravati, associated with Indian culture, have also been found in large numbers. Paintings of Ajanta Ellora are world famous. These depict Buddha's Jatak stories and his sadhana. The world famous painting of Padmapani is the jewel of Indian culture. We now come to sculpture and architecture. We have studied the Harappan civilization and there we saw how well planned the towns were. There is uniformity in the town planning. We have the great bath, the granaries, industrial units, harvesting of rainwater, etc. This all shows how the engineering of ancient India was at that time. Besides this, we also have cave architecture, temple architecture, and architecture of various places. Cave architecture includes hills of Barabar, Nasik Hills, Ajanta Ellora, and the Amravati. As far as sculpture is concerned, the art of making idols was fully developed in India. These were mainly of two types, the Gandhar art and the Mathura art. The Gandhar art, it was a confluence of the Greek and Indian style, whereas Mathura art was completely Indian style. These idols were all mostly of Buddha, but in the Mathura style of art, later on idols of even Indian deities were made. Now coming to the Buddhist architecture. The architecture of Buddhism includes stupas, chaityas and viharas. Let us take stupas first. Stupas are small dome-shaped structures in the middle of which relics of Buddha were buried and the Buddhists practiced meditation here. Actually, after the nirvana of Lord Buddha, monumental construction of his life began in the form of stupas. Among the many stupas constructed later on, the stupa of Sanchi, which is constructed by Ashoka in Madhya Pradesh, the stupa of Lumbini in Nepal, and the stupa of Sarnath, which is in UP, and is also a place where Gautam Buddha gave his first sermon. These are some well-known stupas. Besides this, Kanishka also got Shaji Ki Dairy built in Purushpur, which is in Peshawar, present Pakistan. Chaityas are actually prayer halls. These have large doors, columns, and a huge prayer hall. The Chaityas of Amravati, Bhajo, and Karla are world famous. Bhajo and Karla caves, these are close to Lonavala. And besides these two, there are many other Chaityas also around, but these two are most famous, out of which the Karla caves are more famous. Viharas are nothing but caves made by carving mountains for Buddhist and Jain monks where they could do their studying. Besides this, you even have the Jain architecture which is famous, and of this the Jain statue at Gomteshwar in Shravan Belgoda, Karnataka is world famous. It depicts the prolonged meditation which Lord Swami did standing, and due to this prolonged meditation, it even led to the growing of vines on his legs, as you can see in the statue. Heritage in education. Education has been prevalent in India since ancient times. If we talk of the town planning of Harappan civilization, we can understand how highly educated and technically sound the people were at that time also. This civilization is also known as the Bronze Civilization because they had knowledge of bronze technology. Besides this, even medicine, textile, and shipping shows the various fields in which they had wide knowledge. We have the remains of 5 Vidyapeeths which have been found in India. Number 1 is Takshashila Vidyapeeth. This is located in northwestern India near Gandhar, and here ethics, Sanskrit, grammar, astrology and astronomy, Hinduism and philosophy were taught. Some great philosophers and rulers like Chanakya and Chandragupta, they had become famous for these educational institutions. Next you have the Nalanda University, most popular, which is in Bihar, and here Hindu and Buddhist philosophies were taught. Nagarjun was a great chemist from this place. Unfortunately, the Nalanda University was later on burned down by a Muslim invader Khilji. Number 3, you have Vallabhi Vidyapeeth, which is in Gujarat, another famous Vidyapeeth in the 6th and 7th century. Students from all over used to come to study here. Besides this, here they had to give an entrance exam from which we can see how modern educational system was prevalent at that time also. And lastly, at number 4 and 5, we have Vikramshila and Anantapuri in Bengal, where 3 large storied library of Buddhism were built. And lastly, we have coins, which also help us know how the prosperity in India was in ancient times. We have learned in our initial lesson the oldest coins in India were known as Panchmark coins. Afterwards, we saw how the Indo-Greek rulers introduced a special kind of gold coin on which the king's mark, his photo and time was also mentioned, which helps us a lot to know about the history. Most famous are the various gold coins of the Gupta age, as you can see in the pictures, which were made of gold, and these give us a great deal of information again about the prosperity at that time in our country.